If you do intermittent fasting or have ever considered skipping breakfast to eat only during a period of 8 hours, you should know that a study has just come out that has set off all the alarms in the scientific community. And no wonder. It claims that fasting can increase the risk of suffering a heart attack by 91%. This research, introduced a few days ago by the American Heart Association, has ignited the debate about whether intermittent fasting is actually as beneficial as we thought, or whether it hides serious dangers for our heart that until now we were unaware of. Could it be that we have to eat every few hours to have a healthier heart? Of course, all the media have joined the polemic, each one with a sensational headline just a few minutes after knowing this, as if they had been waiting for the opportunity to discredit this practice with so much evidence behind, a practice that is available to everyone. The most important thing, and the reason that may be behind this entire campaign, is because it is free. Plato once said that necessity is the mother of invention. And in a world where the habit of eating all the time is so lucrative for the industry, skipping breakfast can be seen as a threat to the income of certain companies. Now, fasting, like everything, has some risks and contraindications that we will see later. Although it can be very beneficial for some, it also entails risks for others, and especially if it is not done well. Intermittent fasting is an ancient practice that has been used by many cultures around the world, from Buddhist monks to Spartan warriors, for its benefits on metabolism, body shape, and brain health. The thing is that absolutely all of our ancestors practiced it, but they just didn't call it fasting. They simply did not have the continuous access to food that we have now. They went for long periods without eating, so their bodies adapted to function in these states of intermittent fasting, which is why our species has always evolved and adapted to practice fasting. It is only in the last few centuries that we have acquired the habit of feeding ourselves often during the day. But still today, many traditional cultures, such as the Hunza in Pakistan, are known for their longevity, and they just eat once or twice a day. That is why this recent discovery seems to contradict all this, and of course, has turned everything upside down among the popularizers of intermittent fasting, the medical community, and all the people who limit their eating time to 8 hours or less with the intention of improving their health. The point is that this practice has been gaining popularity in recent years, thanks to the fact that several studies have shown that it is capable of improving our sensitivity to insulin, reducing inflammation, and, most importantly, promoting autophagy, which is a recycling process that it is activated when our body does not have food to digest and begins to feed on the waste of cells that no longer fulfill any function. But none of these studies, which are definitive and rigorous, have received the echo that this draft has had. None has been published by all the media at the same time, in an orchestra that, and take this with some caution because it is a personal opinion, seems to have the same conductor, because when we look at the details of this research, we find some limitations, such as first, that it is a preliminary study that has not been reviewed or validated by other experts in the field. What's more, the same lead author of the study says that more research is needed to confirm these preliminary results. Second, because the study was based on surveys, forms in which participants reported their own eating habits. And although we know that cardiovascular risk is marked by many other factors, they were not asked about any of them. Neither the type of food, exercise, or the consumption of toxic substances such as alcohol or tobacco. And we know that fasting for 16 hours and breaking the fast with a plate of legumes with vegetables is not the same as doing it with a hamburger and fries. But not only that, other factors such as chronic stress or lack of sleep, which are known to increase cardiovascular risk, were also not taken into account. What's more, it turns out that intermittent fasting, as we know it today, is a relatively new practice that has gained popularity since 2016. But the study, which has been collecting data for several decades, does not clarify whether participants who ate in a window of less than 8 hours did it as part of an intermittent fasting protocol, or simply because they had a busy and disordered lifestyle that led them to skip meals. We know that skipping breakfast is due to poor time management or lack of appetite or due to stress, is not the same as doing it consciously and planned as part of a healthy lifestyle. So it's possible that the participants in the study who ate in a narrow window were not following an intermittent fasting protocol, but were simply skipping meals due to a hectic lifestyle, which could logically increase their cardiovascular risk. Now, what does science really tell us about how intermittent fasting, when done in a planned manner, affects our cardiovascular risk? First of all, we have the improvement of our fat profile, such as LDL or bad cholesterol, total cholesterol, and triglycerides, something that reduces the probability to suffer atherosclerosis, the disease that leads to the accumulation of plaques of fat deposits and other substances on the walls of our arteries, leading to the first cause of death in the world, coronary heart attacks and cerebrovascular accidents. And we have seen this in several studies, including this 2021 meta-analysis that demonstrated the beneficial cardiovascular effects of fasting. Secondly, we have a decrease in insulin resistance. We have seen that intermittent fasting, which involves eating in a limited window of 6 to 8 hours, can improve insulin sensitivity while helping to reduce blood pressure. And we know that having good insulin sensitivity and limiting the stiffness of our arteries as much as possible are two protectors of our heart, being these ideas well established by science. Third, we have a 2022 study followed by more than 7,000 adults for 5 years. This study found that those who practiced intermittent fasting were 45% less likely to develop coronary heart disease compared to those who did not. Now, what about the risks? We must know that intermittent fasting is not a panacea, and it is important to remember that it is not for everyone. What's more, it has some risks and contraindications. First, pregnant women or children should not fast, as the hypoglycemia and elevated cortisol that usually occur during prolonged fasting can affect development. Secondly, people with type 1 or type 2 insulin-dependent diabetes, that is, those who need an exogenous supply of insulin, due to the greater tendency to have these drops in blood glucose, drops that can be worsened if they go for a long time without eating. Third, we have people over 75 years old, as at this stage of life we should avoid muscle loss, sarcopenia, at all costs. Intermittent fasting is going to make this task more difficult for them, because to get strong muscles, we need to achieve a caloric surplus, that is, to consume more than our body uses. And if at these ages, when there is a greater tendency to lose lean mass, we also reduce the time in which we are eating, we are not going to do our muscles any favor. And remember that if you take medication or suffer from an illness, as with any dietary approach, it is crucial to customize fasting to your individual situation, and especially under the supervision of a health professional. Now, if you already practice intermittent fasting and it works for you, I hope this video helps you to understand that although this study may have generated alarming headlines, it is important to take into account the limitations of this research, and that the scientific evidence to date tells us the opposite, that intermittent fasting, when practiced properly as part of a healthy lifestyle, can offer significant benefits to our heart health. So it is important to continue having an open mind to new studies that will come out, and don't fall prey to press headlines, so that science and not fear will guide our decisions in everything that has to do with our health. If this video has been useful to you, please share this video with your friends and family on WhatsApp. Do you practice intermittent fasting? I read you below in the comments, and I leave you here other videos so you can continue watching. Take care of yourself.